YouTube? It's Justin, the Snap-on Junkie. How in the fuck are you guys doing today? Okay, so today's video is going to be this little series that I'm going to start. Okay, and what we're going to do is we're going to, we're going to try to take some of the opinion out of what manufacturer, what they make better tools, okay? And the only way that I know how to do that is by, a little bit of investigation work and some measuring of some openings and stuff like that. Now, I can't give you like steel qualities and all this other type of stuff, okay, out there, because we just don't want to, it costs a lot of money to get stuff destruction tested to find out the heat treat qualities and what the material is. Like, I could take this someplace and it'll tell me what the material is, but it won't tell me the grade of heat treat. Okay, so heat treat is going to be another factor. Those are just variable factors that A, I don't have enough money for, and B, like to do one of each company's wrench. I think the heat treat process, I looked into trying to figure it out, so I could give you better information when you're out there buying stuff and all that type of stuff. So I wanted to use things that maybe you would understand and maybe you wouldn't. But anyway, so like, let me get back to discussing like a destruction test of heat treat and stuff like that. It's like $500 per wrench is the cheapest place that I found a guy to, to do it. And they would have to send it off to a lab, and it takes, however busy they are, that's how long it takes. So I thought that we would use some just simple measuring techniques and kind of just looking at it. And what we're going to be always doing is comparing other tool companies to Snap-on brand. Now, if you say that, people say out there that Snap-on's the best at, manufacturing and all this stuff, if that's what we're going to say, let's find out through a little bit of science, really, is what I'm trying to explain. So, like, I'm going to kind of show you how that I'm going to measure this stuff and all that type of thing. If you're not interested in this video, I really don't care, whatever. I just thought it'd be a good point to bring back, we're going to find out who makes the best quality stuff. That's what I really want to find out. That's what everybody out here in YouTube wants to know. What is their money well spent on? We're going to take warranty out of the equation, all that type of stuff. We're just going to do basically on build quality, kind of, like what it feels in the hand. And again, some of that, like how it feels and stuff like that, is really going to be, that's an opinion, because some people might like stuff different. So, luckily the German tool review dude sent me these Stahlwille wrenches. Now, I can't really compare them by weight to find out, but we can kind of compare by eye, what this stuff is, because the Snap-on stuff is always a little bit longer, and they just make they have a different philosophy than a German company. Basically, what we're trying to figure out is how good is their broaching process here? What is their finish quality like? What's their tolerances here? Okay, because that's gonna, how this fits on a fastener is gonna determine whether it rounds it off or not. It really, nothing else. And how tight the goddamn thing is. If it's rusted in there, I've kind of measured enough stuff to understand kind of what the built-in tolerances are. And we'll get into that once we get over here into this section. And I'll kind of explain to you what tolerances are on bolts, nuts, and things like that. Because just remember this. We're going to use 19 millimeters as an example here because it's a nice round number. 3/4 of an inch is 750 thousandths. But if I made a wrench 750 thousandths, it would not fit on the fastener. It would not be very good, because there is some tolerances there that if, the bolts seem to have about a 5 to 6 thousandths tolerance, and if the fastener was rusted, that's obviously going to be bigger, maybe smaller. So just remember, 750 and 750, you can't slide it over there. You need a little bit of tolerance, whether that's, 3 thousandths, 4 thousandths, all that stuff. I have it kind of figured out to what I think is a good tolerance. Now, this is another thing that I was talking about, what my plans are when I get a lathe and a mill. I don't want to reveal those on time, but I'm trying to learn how this stuff is manufactured, and maybe some of you can get the hint by what I want to build for myself, or just try to do this. But so this is just part of a series, and we're going to be comparing, you know, this Stahlwille brand to the Snap-on brand, because this is a well-made German company. Okay, so let's get into kind of like measuring and all that stuff, and we'll kind of talk to you, you know, about what my philosophy is and where my thinking is. So, you know, like they say, you can either, you know what I'm saying, buy quality tools and buy it once, or you can buy lesser quality stuff and at least buy it twice. So, you know, if you're thinking that theory, then this stuff becomes a little bit more affordable and a long time purchase. And that's really what we're trying to figure out for people out there in the trades or at your home. Let's talk about like long time cost per use, really is what you're trying to break it down to. So anyway, let's just get right into here, and then I'll show you some of the measuring stuff and just a little bit of a feel quality and things like that. So, okay guys, so we're over here on the top of the toolbox in the workstation. Now, how I measure this stuff is I use what they call a sliding parallel here. I don't know if you can understand what this is, but what this does is this is made for square surfaces. So you put this down in there like that, okay? And now you can, you know, micrometer with your little dial or micrometers, you can get an accurate reading of what this inside hole, or what this inside broaching is, okay? So once we can kind of figure out this, you know, now obviously, you know, ones that are manufactured that have a good quality control system, when they go to broach this, okay, they're going to take into consideration how many of these can they broach before they wear the tool out, okay, and they change the tooling, okay, which costs money, which again, you pay for. We all pay for that. That's just manufacturing. That's how it works, okay? And, you know, this, you know, what we can't do is determine how much torque this is going to take before it spreads out. You know what I'm saying? I don't have any kind of special machines or anything to figure that out. But anyway, but what we're trying to do is just figure out what, you know, is this a good broaching? Is this a bad broaching? What's the tolerance here? You know, because that's going to make a good determined part, okay? So like if we were a manufacturer of a part, okay, just for any company out there, they're going to give us a tolerance, okay? And that's going to be plus or minus 1/1000. Aerospace stuff, it's probably going to be tighter than that, plus or minus 10,000. You know, that they want this thing to fit a certain direction for basically anything like that. And tools are no different, okay? So the tool manufacturer has to figure out, they have a lot of different fasteners, you know, like this, that they have to adjust and make their tools to fit a wide array of stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, because how this is manufactured determines how well this kind of works, really. You know, whether it's good or bad. And then, you know, like the Snap-on ones have this flank drive plus in there. Well, when we're comparing one that's non-flank drive to flank drive, it really doesn't make a difference. These teeth are just in there to give you a little bit extra bite, and that's really all that it's there for. But I took that out of the way because I just took a crow's feet. Okay, this is basically the same thing, and this will tell us the broaching size, whether it's consistent throughout the whole line. Now, with the Snap-on line, I found that the broaching, it doesn't matter open end or like smooth or flank drive plus, it's all very similar. A couple tenths really is what the difference is between a smooth one and a not one. Okay, and the couple tenths is probably just because we're measuring on the high side of the grooves, really is all it is. But anyway, so, you know, because I don't have any smooth stuff, so I thought that I would use this because it's very similar. But anyway, so how you would go about measuring this stuff is you take your sliding parallel, okay, and you put this in there, and then you just squeeze it together, okay, and then it has this little screw on here, and this is what locks it in just on a clamping force, okay? And then now, you know, it comes out. Now we want to get a nice good feel, and again, you can change this feel just by how tight you put it in. And then what you do is you measure it with your micrometer, or with your micrometer here, and then it gives you this number, okay? Now I did this on all this stuff, okay, and I'll get into that in a second. I just wanted to show you how I do it. Now this Stahlwille wrench is going to be, it's a little bit thinner in the cross section here by about 89 thousandths, okay? So that means it would fit in a tighter spot than the snap-on one. Okay, the finish is more of what I would call a satin finish. You know what I'm saying? It's really not chromed or anything like that. And what I've noticed is that their grinding marks here on the outside are kind of visible. You know, like you could tell that it was put on a grinder like this, and a guy did it by hand or probably by a computer. Okay, and the inside broaching is really, you can kind of see the tooling marks. You know what I'm saying? That it, you know, that it, when it came down through here to get its size and all that stuff. But anyway, so now 19 millimeter, that measurement is 748 thousandths and a whole bunch of weird decimal points. I don't need to bore you with that, but so 3/4 is 750, and then 19 millimeter is just 2 thousandths under that. That's what the head diameter of your 19 millimeter bolt is. So you can definitely use a 19 millimeter on a 3/4 inch fastener, and it's not going to cause you any problems. It's actually going to be a little bit better because of the this broaching is going to be a little bit tighter on a 3/4 inch bolt. Just because this 19 millimeter, if we were saying that a good tool has, let's say it has 5 to 7 thousandths variance, you know, oversized. So this would be 756 and 755. All right. Well, on a 3/4, it would be like 757, 58, somewhere in there. You know, it would have an 8 thousandths tolerance to go around this fastener just in case it was rusted or anything like that. But anyway, we can get into that in a later video. So I kind of measured all this stuff up. Now, I found that the snap-on opening, no matter if I did the flank drive or the smooth crow's feet little here, that measurement was 755 thousandths. So again, 5 thousandths oversized. That's a pretty tight tolerance when you're comparing going over, you know, an irregular, sorry about this, irregular bolt. Okay. Now the Stahlwille is actually really good too. That is 756 thousandths in here. Okay. Now I took off the tenths because you guys probably don't care about that, but if you're a machinist, you would want to know the tenths. But, you know, tenths really isn't that big of a deal. So, you know, I measured all that stuff, okay? And the head width I measured, this is 360 thousandths, okay? And the Stahlwille one is, maybe it's just because it's a different style wrench, and I realize this is not apples to apples, but this fixed diameter should be. And this one was only 271, the cross section, and that's a difference of 89 thousandths. So it's a little bit thinner. You know, you could get it in a tighter spot and all that type of stuff. Now, just to compare what 3/4 inch snap-on stuff is 756 thousandths was their opening. Okay, so that means that it was about 6 thousandths difference. And, you know, you can see that 19 millimeter is a bigger difference, because if 748 was 0, these things are 7 thousandths oversized. So that's what I was talking about. When you put something on, you're going to need some type of clearance just to get it off. But anyway, you know, like, get back to these Stahlwille wrenches. To me, in the hand, this wrench does not feel very good. And what I mean by that is it's a little thin through the body of the wrench. Now this thumb hole thing is kind of comfortable, but when you grip it like this, if you had to put some torque on it, the cross section is a little too thin, and I feel like it would bite into my hand. kind of like the Craftsman raised panels do. I'm not really a big fan of those. And the finish is very similar on the Stahlwille. Now, when I compare that to a snap-on, you know, the snap-on cross-section is a little bit bigger. And I think that they do that because if you were using this all day and you had to put a lot of torque on there, this wider design here would be, it wouldn't dig into your hand and hurt as bad. That's why I think they kind of make them this way. And, you know, the weight of this thing. So that's that. But, you know, just looking at this Stahlwille stuff, I would say that this stuff is well manufactured over there in Germany. They have a very tight tolerance and stuff like that. Like, I compared some other wrenches just to this measurement, and they're not very good. I don't have any other German tools, but I compared this Beta 19 millimeter, just their broach opening here, and it is massive. You know, I don't really, you know, this would be what I call a nut rounder. You know, because you could see that, yeah, this thing looks beautiful, you know, like it's got a very good finish to it, but the opening tolerance is not very good. It's 763 thousandths in here, and that's a big difference when you're talking about a 19 millimeter fastener. Like, this thing would be what, you know, you would call a nut rounder. Yeah, I mean, it looks great. You know, the Italians made it, but they didn't, you know, they fucked up the broaching, so this would not be as good. All right, just out there thinking, you know. And then I thought, well, I got some Harbor Freight garbage here for another video I did about wrenches and stuff like that. So I compared some of Harbor Freight stuff, and actually I have a feeling these two here are made, I bet, in the same place somewhere, or the dies are very similar because they look about the same. All right. But this Harbor Freight broaching opening here was 364. Again, you know, that's 3/4, but it's almost the size as what this 19 millimeter is. So I would say that this Beta manufacturer uses the same broach on 19 millimeter as of 3/4. That's what I was trying to figure out, is if they're, you know, if Snap-on and other companies are using the same broaching to do 19 millimeter as they do 3/4, which I have a feeling, I bet you they do. You know, I bet it's pretty close. It's not much difference. But anyway, I just thought I'd share that with you. Just to say that, you know, I'm trying to figure out, you know, like, to take opinion out of it and what other people have. Do they make something good? That's what we're trying to figure out. So I hope that you kind of understand this by how I measured it and all that type of shit. And we'll compare some other stuff when I get it. You know, I know a dude wrote a comment on one of my videos and called me a Hitler tool company because I have some German stuff. Well, you know, the only really German stuff I bought was this Wera stuff. And, you know, I just like that because it was Red Bull. But, you know, I'm still into U.S. manufacturing. I'm just saying, for out there, if you can find this cheaper than you can this as a home gamer, this stuff would be good options, right? Because I think the German Tool Review told me he paid basically $20 for this set over in Germany. He bought it from a German company, and then he sent it to me, and he wanted me to compare it to a Snap-on wrench. Well, this is the only way that I really know how to compare it, is by, you know, basically build quality. That's what we're trying to figure out. So I hope you guys understood a little bit about what I'm trying to do and share with you. You know, we all know what this brand is, you know what I'm saying, but we may have not have heard of this brand. So let's compare it and see, you know, all the different stuff, manufacturing techniques, you know. And I would, you know, I would say that this wrench is forged a little bit differently than this one. They don't take as much time to finish polish it. And I don't know if you can see this here. Okay, so up in here, you can kind of just see pitting and all that stuff where the, you know, the hammer is starting to get wore out that they're using it on and all that stuff. The actual feeling of the finish is really smooth, you know, like their edges are really smooth and stuff. I'm just saying, like, when you went to bite into it, this cross section is going to be in one of your forefingers, and that's really what sucks when you're trying to pull on stuff. It could hurt. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm going to try to get it up just to compare this stuff. Sorry if it went too long or too like geeky, if you guys are feeling that way, but I just want to compare stuff by manufacturing and take it out of the hands of, let's call it fanboys or whatever. And people could say that I'm a Snap-on fanboy. No, this is just the stuff that I like. There might be other companies that you like. So, you know what I'm saying? You could do this at home. These sliding parallels ain't very much money, and you can figure it out for yourself. Or if not, just tune into my channel and we'll find different wrenches to compare sizes to and all that stuff, and we'll figure it out for ourselves. But anyway, thanks for watching today, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you understand what I'm trying to get across. But thanks for watching.